Hello, good day to everyone. Our topic for today is about authentication. So, let's first discuss what is authentication.
Authentication. Authentication is a process or method of showing something, such as identity, passport, or financial transaction, to be real, true, or genuine. Authentication has three key factors. These factors are knowledge, possession, and inherence. The first one is knowledge factor. A security prompts you to your username and password when logging to an application. A password is an example, something to know since all you need to get beyond the knowledge factor is something you already know before the authentication. The lack of password is security primary reasons for requiring more than knowledge factor. When using password, it's important to use strong passwords. A strong password has a mixture of uppercase, lowercase letter, numbers, and special characters. The next one is possession factor, or simply known as something you have. Possession factor are usually regulated by a device that has been identified as belonging to the proper use. Before permitted access to the system, the user must have a certain piece of information or gadget. Possession factor mandates the user give proof of actual possession of tangible object such as SIM card, mobile phone, or smart card. Token with hardware OTP, the possession factor becomes considerably easier to execute with the advancement of contemporary technologies. Lastly, inherence factor, or something you are. The inherence factor is frequently referred to be the most powerful authentication factor. It provides the strongest authentication since it is automatically rejects unknown, but it is vulnerable to errors. These errors are either false rejection, which occurs when a system falsely rejects a known user and indicates the user is not known, or false acceptance, which occurs when a system falsely identifies unknown user as a known user. It uses biometrics such as fingerprint scanning, retina pattern scanning, and facial recognition. Fingerprinting is used based on security keys. Biometric system can be adjusted for sensitivity, but sensitivity affects the accuracy. These factors are used to form identities, so we should have a good understanding of it.
Next, let's talk about the process and value of two-factor authentication or 2FA.
Two-factor authentication or 2FA, often known as two-step verification or dual-factor authentication. It's a security method in which users validate their identity using two independent authentication factors. Because even if a victim's password is compromised, a password alone is not enough to pass authentication check. Two-factor authentication process, making it more difficult for attackers to obtain access to a person's devices or online accounts. Two-factor authentication is designed to prevent an unauthorized user from gaining access to an account with nothing more than just a stolen password. Users may be at risk of compromised password than they realize, particularly if they use the same password on more than one website. It can also expose an individual to password theft. Without your physical device, remote attackers can pretend to be you to gain unauthorized access to corporate networks, cloud storage, financial information, etc. By adding two-factor authentication to your applications, attackers won't be able to access your account unless they have your physical device, which is required to fulfill the second factor.
Characteristics of an effective password. Every time when we create an account, we should first consider of creating a password for at least 8 or longer, mainly because it is far from the risk of hacking. If we use lower than 8, maybe our password is at risk on the hand of the hackers. And the second one we should remember is that both uppercase and lowercase alphabetic letters are included, like uppercase letter A to Z or lowercase a to Z. If we are making a password and we try this kind of tip, then the probability in hacking is under 20% due to the uppercase and lowercase passwords we tried. Like for example, our name is Kevin. Maybe the uppercase of the letter in our name may be the letter V in the middle, or anywhere as long as it has an uppercase. It depends on our likes and perceptions. The third one is at least one number character is required, like 0 to 9. Mostly, they use the number of their own birth dates or maybe their favorite number. At least, it should be one or more. That's enough. Because if we try to use many numbers, it may lead to forgotten in the end. And sadly, we cannot open our account. The fourth one is at least one special character is required. Like ampersand, asterisk, add, plus, something like that. Like for example, our password would be like this. Kevin at 30 or Kevin ampersand 30. Anything as long as it has a special character included. The fifth one is make sure your username, your real name, or your family members' names are not included in your password. Sometimes, if we try to make the password or name itself, sometimes the system appear on the screen saying that your password is weak. Otherwise, use strong password. On that case, maybe we try to input some names not related to our emails. That's why we encouraging not to put those names mentioned, just to avoid hacking and prevent losing your account. Maybe try to put some names closest to you other than your close friends or family. Maybe that could be your pet's name or your neighbor's name. The last one is that numbers are great to include in passwords, but don't use your phone numbers or address numbers. According to a survey, most passwords that people use are the consecutive number like 1, 2, 3, 4. It's quite easy to remember at all, but alongside of this, we are at the risk of hacking. So try not to use your own phone numbers or phone address or email address. Sometimes hackers use those numbers thinking that that's your real password. Maybe we try our birth dates, like our birthday is on April 5, 2000. Our number we can use is 0405 2000. The 04 digit is month of April. The 05 digit is the day of our birth. And lastly, the 2000 is the year we born. That number can be a substitute instead of our phone numbers or address numbers. If we could try these recommendations to have a strong password, definitely we are far from hacking.
Next, let's talk about data. Data comes from the Latin word datum, meaning something given. It comprises facts, observations, perceptions, numbers, characters, symbols, image, and many more. Data is a codified representation of facts, concepts, or instructions that is appropriate for transmission, interpretation, or processing by humans or electronic machines. Data is a raw and unorganized fact that is required to be processed to make it meaningful. Data can also be qualitative or quantitative variable, which helps us to develop ideas and conclusions. Next, let's define information.
Information. Information comes from Latin word informatio, meaning formation or conception. It is an organized form of data. The processed data is called information. It is more meaningful than data and is used for decision making. Information is critical in sense. What do you mean by this sentence? If someone gets your social account details such as user ID and password, he or she can use it negatively by putting offensive stuff in social media that could harm your reputation. But if he or she just gets some data, such as some digit of your password, they can't be able to use it. So this type of information must be confidential.
Already know the definition of data and information. Now, let's differentiate data from information. Data does not have any specific purpose, but information carries meaning that has been assigned by interpreting data does not have any specific purposes. Data might be information data, tabular data, a graph, or a data tree, for example. But information is based on the data, create language, concepts, and thoughts. And for additional, data is never designed to be specific for the need of the user, while the information is always specific to the requirements and expectation of the user. Data is an information collected, while information is the data processed. So, for example, we are making a thesis. We collect first data before it becomes information, because we cannot consider data as an information because it is not yet confirmed if it is from a legitimate source. So, tinitimbang muna natin ang data before we turn it into an information. So, example din po yung sa investigation. The police officers gathered first the data, and then tinitimbang nila kung alin yung totoo before silang gumawa ng police report. So yun. Then next is data is low level knowledge, while information is the second level of knowledge. Here pinapakita lang po na mas reliable source yung information kaysa sa data, because information helps researcher to conduct a proper analysis. So that's all. Thanks for watching.